Chapter 4. We must throw away the disposition of Satan. The Word must remove the spirit of corruption. We are God's people created by God, but the spirit of disobedience soaked in, and God's creation became buried. God's spirit was covered by disobedience. The spirit of corruption had broken into that which is peaceful when controlled by God's spirit. The problem is that we can't feel this. We must realize this immediately and not be deceived. For example, when God's Spirit takes hold of a person, God's Spirit leads him or her. When the spirit of disobedience takes hold of a person, the spirit of disobedience leads him or her. In this case, God's Spirit and the spirit of disobedience come to oppose each other. We are all the same people, but the spirits that move from inside are different. So even if a person is a family member whom we love, from inside, such person is my enemy. It's not that the person we see on the outside is the enemy. Enemies is because of the spirits that flow inside. The situation changes depending on which spirit we hold on to. This is not about the relationship between humans. If we can't open our spiritual eyes, we come to hate the human. There are many people who do not know that the spirit of disobedience is seizing them inside. We must hold on to the Spirit of God and drive out the spirit of disobedience. If we know this, there is an immediate solution. If we don't know, the spirit of corruption holds on to the flesh and moves, so we experience difficulty. We are God's people, but if the spirit of corruption seizes us, we become His enemy. That is why God strikes the spirit of corruption that is inside us. He does not strike the flesh. Through the Word, He constantly drives out the spirit of corruption and does the work of removing it. However, if we don't receive the Word as spirit, but receive it in the flesh, people become enemies with each other. That is why, at times, the Israelites and Moses became enemies. God tried to take out the evil inside them, but they heard Moses' words as the sound of a human. Now, believers must know the spiritual world. If we just study the Word and accumulate it only as knowledge, we cannot know the spiritual world. Not even one spiritual thing appears due to the things of knowledge. Because the human is revealed, the spiritual world does not appear at all. Now, in the era of love, the Word removes the spirit of corruption. God's Spirit reigns over the flesh, and perfect peace is enjoyed. Worlds of evil must get cut off. If hate enters inside my heart, this directly becomes hell. If there is even a little snag with regards to another person in my heart, I am being deceived by myself. If I hate another person, it isn't hell for the other person, but hell for myself. So we must not be deceived. If we're only always thankful, the love of God rises. If thankfulness does not come out, it means something inside has become strange. This is because there is darkness. If there is something caught in my heart regarding another person, I must know that Satan is controlling from inside of myself. If love comes out when I'm in a good mood, but decreases when I'm in a bad mood, this is also Satan dragging me down. The water of love has dried up, so no matter how much we try to drink, would it come out? If we feel that our love has dried up, we must search for the love of God. The love of God is eternal living water that does not dry up. My things dry up, so we must fill up with the love of God. My things can't save the other person. I must embrace the other person with God's love so that God can do it. God completes love, and we must only give thanks. God comes to the place of thankfulness and completes love. When we bring out the love of God, the kingdom of heaven rests. The person upon whom the kingdom of heaven rests delivers the kingdom of heaven. And the person who has love shares love. God's things never cease. They constantly flow. The kingdom of heaven is not over here or over there, but inside me. If he dwells inside me, it is heaven because God is heaven. I must throw away my love and hold on to the love of God. I must find joy and thanks of heaven. To fulfill perfect heaven, the worlds of evil which try to bind me must be disconnected, and I must hold on to the love of God. The root of evil must be removed. The reason another person's things look better than my things is greed. With greed, nothing but the shell can be obtained. We must uproot greed, which is the root of evil. The root of evil must be removed so that I can obtain a kernel for my family and for myself inside. The actions I take to love the other person are important. To live by guarding my family's happiness with love is important. If we only try to show external appearances, we are hypocrites. Jesus said the Pharisees were brood of vipers and whitewashed tombs. He meant that they adorned their outer image beautifully, but were filled with all dirty things inside. Now, a family is not happy just because one says, "I love you," with one's lips. But love must overflow from inside our hearts. We must be able to eat love from the closest person in our families. This is precious love. Yet are we only going to beg and freeload from outside the family? I must be able to dig up water and eat from my own family. Love must flow from my family, and it must be able to make the family complete. So we must change into his love. God's word must drag out the worlds of Satan, which come to mess up families, and the root of evil must be removed so that perfect love flows. To drive out Satan, I must put my life on the line. God gives us joy and peace, but Satan snatches joy and peace away. Joy doesn't come out if evil things stay put in their seats at some corner of my heart. Even though I say joy comes out, such joy is not perfect. This is why Satan must not enter inside the spirit. If the spirit should have peace, one must put one's life on the line and drive out Satan. Apostle Paul had much war inside himself due to two laws. One law was toward God, and the other was towards sin. He discovered a conflict that arose. Once he put his life on the line and drove out the one who caused this conflict, he said that he saw the Redeemer. That he only saw the Lord means he only saw the love of God. Such love tries to rest inside me. If it does, the inside of me is perfect peace. Now, other things must absolutely never enter our spirits. Disliking someone is the spirit of Satan, so this cannot be. In the era of love, I can't make another person feel snagged. I also can't feel snagged. I must pass through all things with thankfulness and joy. If only God enters us, it is a blessing. Even if God brings words of reproach, I must open the door of my spirit. He strikes Satan with the sword of the word and makes Satan leave. To enjoy perfect peace given to us by God of the era of love, we must rely on the word, put our lives on the line, and drive out Satan. When I make a decision, Satan leaves. When we believe in Jesus, much persecution comes. There are many times when we have to choose whether to believe or not to believe in God. If we can't make a decision about our faith at that time, then we end up being dragged around by Satan's will. We must absolutely disconnect what must be disconnected. When I, from inside God, make the dead set decision in my heart, Satan leaves. When I indisputably make a decision, God puts love inside for us. God always gives us the opportunity to make decisions, but if we push that decision aside, the more I push, the more difficult it is for me. If placing the cross at the center and making a decision is hard for me, then I must be determined to resolve this. If I can't make a decision because I fear suffering, things start to become difficult for me. In this era, many people are living in difficulty because they cannot make the decision. Revelation 3:16 says, "Because you are lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I will vomit you out of my mouth." If I can't make a decision while I say I believe in Him, my future generations experience much difficulty. When the parents can't choose God, their future generations live while receiving exactly everything done by their parents. As humans, even though people go through hardship, nobody wants their children to go through similar troubles. One may live poorly, but to want one's child to live richly is the heart of the parent, and it is love. This is also God's heart. My future generations receive blessing only when I make a decision indisputably. The things of Satan must be cut off resolutely. If Satan springs out of me and blocks my path, my life of faith becomes difficult. When I decide indisputably to cut off the things that must be cut off, Satan leaves. The disposition of Satan must get thrown out. Satan does the work of snatching away thankfulness and joy from inside. Satan also does the work of breaking apart the family. So far, God's children had lived on this earth while undergoing pain because of the worlds of Satan. Now God binds Satan and ends his work. He perfectly changes things into the love of God. We must go by knowing what purpose and will God desires from us in this era. We must know what it is that He finds again. And if He finds it for us, we must never lose it again. If we lose the love of God, we can wander and end without having produced life. So I must throw away my righteousness and lustful love and change to God's love of the cross. Just as a woman traditionally follows all the things of her husband's family when she gets married, we must throw away all of our things and adapt to God so that our hearts are at peace. In order to enjoy peace, I must throw away my love and change to God's love. Satan's disposition, which is lust and covetousness, is inside the human. This disposition of Satan must be thrown away so that God's love can enter inside and change my life into a life of thankfulness and joy.